Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. It's a good day to have a great day, and we're here on the Pirate Broadcast to bring you interesting people doing interesting things. And I was getting caught up in the conversation with Rick this morning. Good morning, Rick. How are you doing?
Good morning, Russ. I'm doing fine. Great. Looking forward to this conversation.
You know, it was funny because we were talking before the show about all kinds of things, and I was getting excited because, this business of entrepreneurship and, growing your own thing, it can be challenging. I'm not going to lie. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life and in and out of corporate environments and having a side hustle all the time. And the reality is that it's an exciting opportunity to actually share, help other people, and support communities. So I want to talk a little bit about that, Rick, and some of the good things that you're doing with your platform, and kind of share it with the pirate community and let people know that how they can get involved and what they can do to support you. So tell us what you're up to today.
Well, thank you, Russ. I'm wrapping up a really cool startup in Pittsburgh. But I was able during this pre-pandemic and during the pandemic, I got a book published on supporting entrepreneurship in the second half of life. And that book is called Ageless Start a Business at Any Age. And of course, during the pandemic, just blew this up, right? We had a great speaking tour and book tour and all of that. As a lifelong entrepreneur, you just got to keep pivoting all the time. And there was a silver lining, actually better silver lining in the chaos that in launching that kind of a book. And some friends and I have launched a nonprofit center for ageless entrepreneurs as a platform for sharing information among this age group and people interested in the subject. So there was a happy ending, and it is a really cool nonprofit. Just taking the clothes off the website, it's a little, touchy, but it's a minimal viable product. So we're ready.
I love minimal viable products. I've created many of them where I probably could have done a little more research because, you have to have a minimal viable community as well. One of the things that I loved about the idea that you're working on is that it's this idea planted in the more senior community. There's a lot of talk about 20-year-olds, 20-somethings, jumping into the entrepreneurial community. However, it's really statistically, it's people over 45, as you mentioned before we started, that are the ones that really start up businesses and get things moving forward. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's so I'm going to back up and just say they're all good. If it's legal, it's good. And there's a whole range of entrepreneurship activities people can get in. You can build out investor-led businesses and raise the money. All of it, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But on the other side of this, when I was doing the research for the book, there's 100 million people in the United States that are 45 to 60-ish, the 60s. 25% of them said that they would like to keep working and start their own small enterprise. And that's 25 million people. And they generally, in my world, they come out as one-person entities. I want them to arm up and get their legal status around themselves. But just prior to the pandemic, Russ, there was 32 million total businesses in the United States. Of those 25 million, over 75% were one-person businesses. So it's now they don't generate the kind of hockey stick revenues that come out of the larger corporations. But if you're one of those people, those 25 million people running their own business, there's nothing small or lifestyle about it. You're making a contribution to communities you love and markets you love. You're able to continue being resilient and making contributions. Find me something wrong with that.
There's not a dang thing wrong with that. The other thing I love about being an entrepreneur is um, the flexibility. I won't necessarily call it the freedom. However, I will call it, you have a choice of about how you want to work, how you want to show up, who you want to do business with, all of the things that you want to support. And it's really, for me, it's very satisfying to be able to do that kind of work. In your book, have you talked about some of the elements of entrepreneurship and some of the reasons why people start up a business?
Well, sure, and it's all across the board, of course. But to the point you were just making, it's control over your time.
Hmm.
Uh, People in the game know that that's you got to have some money. You got to support yourself, but control over your time is among the most valuable gifts you could ever give yourself. And there's these small one-person businesses don't even necessarily have to work full time. Statistically, most don't. Um,
Mm.
so the trick is to give yourself permission, let yourself enter this field. You don't have to know everything. You can find peers, you can find mentors. There's all kinds of businesses and enterprises you can start. You usually start with something you know and love, an industry that you grew up in, a community that you love. There's all kinds of ways to make small contributions that can generate revenue.
No, it's amazing. And when you start to think that way, there's opportunities. You're surrounded by opportunities.
Can't get away, right?
You
You're just
can't get away. It's like
it's like
everywhere you look, there's an opportunity. I just, for me, that's the way I see things, and it's like, okay. And I'm a professional squirrel hunter, as I tell people, and for me, it's I really have to focus on some things that are moving the needle, and so that's really, because I'm a community builder. I like networking. I love relationship building. I love connecting with people just like you. And the reality is that we have to balance all these activities out in order to continue to grow and expand. So what are some things that you've noticed along your journey as entrepreneurship is some of the things that new entrepreneurs need to think about and consider as far as the way they think about things or the way they approach things? What are some things that you can share with the pirate community today?
sure. Well, the overall theme is that it's not hard, it's just new, right? Anybody could do
Mm,
this. And I believe that there's three for the target audience I'm talking to here. This is this older group that's either just beginning as entrepreneurs or leaning into it. Is there's three main elements you want to make sure you hit. You want to start small. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's actually a much smarter strategy. You can control your money, control your time. You start small. That's really critical. And I think you need to start smart. And in my world, that's finding your tribe, your pirate network.
yep.
Um, right? We've all got them. We've all have our networks, but finding supportive business networks is really critical. That's the start smart is find your network, find your tribe. And the last thing is start right now. This is going to take
Mm.
longer than you expect. You can always throw money at things. Um, but it's like the story of when's the best time to plant a tree. The best
Right.
time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. It's just going
Exactly.
to take a while. So get it underway. Do a little bit every day on it, and a little ways out, you're going to have your own entity. You're going to be in the game, and you're going to be making a contribution.
Yeah. What prompted you to write a book?
You know, during one of my startups, the one I started when I was 45. And I got a bunch of awards for this thing. It was really a great run. We had customers all over the world. It was small, but it was really exciting, and got a bunch of patents for this stuff. I was installing one of these machines at a John Deere factory in Dubuque, Iowa,
Hmm.
and I was thinking as I was busting my knuckles, turning wrenches, there's oil all over. It's a big factory. I said, I ought to introduce other people to the joys of this lifestyle. And I remember going back to my hotel, and I had it for the longest time. It was a piece of paper, and it was covered with oil and blood from the day. And
Yeah.
And I wrote out my first blog post, and I ended up writing one of those just every Friday, workmanlike. I just made myself do it until I liked doing it every Friday, and then I couldn't miss it every Friday. And soon enough, I had enough of those. There was a big following. I let it go because I had to do another startup, but all of that content was there. And when the time came, I was making a move. I decided, you know what, I really do need to share this to a wider audience. So I
Yeah.
put it together. I could have self-published it, but I went the traditional route. I got an agent, I got a really great publisher. It's Entrepreneur Magazine. It was a really wonderful experience. My editor made that much better than the one I gave to her. She really tightened it up and added to it. There's some great checklists in this thing. Um, and it came out a much better book than I'd originally written. And so the process worked as well. So I learned a bunch through that, Russ, and I'm glad
Yeah.
to have worked through it.
It's a journey. It's a journey. It's definitely something that anyone that has a thought of doing it should probably consider doing it. Take the plunge, even if you self-publish. It's more common now than ever, and it's easy access. And with tools like Amazon, putting your message out there, sharing your gifts, sharing your experience, because there's somebody out there starving to hear that information. They want to know what you're thinking. What were you thinking? What was the process? How did you go through this? How did you survive this? There's so many elements about it. And I think like I was talking to Todd last night, we're living the most amazing time in humanity's history where we actually have the opportunity to capture these moments. A blog post is one way, and video like this is another way. And I just want to applaud people that take the initiative to start right now. And I think it's so important. So applaud you for taking the initiative and doing that and sharing it with the world, Rick. It's amazing opportunity to share your gifts.
Well, in that interview with Todd, which was a really great interview, um, he was making a great point that it's a skill set that everybody is going to want and need, no matter what. If you're employed, self-employed, or if you are employed and looking to become self-employed, or you want to move up in an organization, everybody's looking for content creators and people
Yeah.
who can present carefully and accurately and succinctly. Um, you can't go wrong. You're investing in yourself by creating this content, and the first of them is going to be awkward and
Hmm.
goofy, and you're going to drop stuff on the floor, and nothing's going to be perfect on this. But you just
Yeah.
keep at it and put one foot in front of the other, and there will be audiences for it. This is a big, wide world, and there's a lot of subject matter experts that can make significant contributions to people all over the world right now.
Oh, it's amazing the talent that I've run into. Michael Baker in from Florida. I hope you're doing well, Michael. He says, dig your well before you're thirsty. Be proactive and anticipate future needs. Absolutely. Bernard says, good morning. He's here. Thank you so much, Bernard, for being here. JD's in the house. Hey, pirates. I want to talk a little bit about the idea that we can actually, um, do this um, thing called the entrepreneurship. The A lot of people are hesitant to jump in it because they have this idea that there is security in employment, and to a certain extent there's stability. I don't know that there's security. There's no promise of tomorrow, but there's also the adventure of joining this entrepreneurial uh, adventure and kind of taking it to a new level, because we're so preconceived about what we've done. We kind of anchor what we're capable of by our past and not our future. So how can we think about our future and what opportunities, like get to the point where you're seeing opportunities out there? What are some things you've discovered along your journey that you can actually share with the pirates here to give them a little bit of inspiration?
Well, you're right. There is a draw, and there's nothing wrong with employment, right?
No.
I'm not especially good at it myself, but there's nothing wrong with it, and it does offer a certain bit of stability. But if you look at this long enough, there is no real stability in any of these markets, and things are subject to change overnight that are out of your control.
Mhm.
And that's the way the world has gone round and will continue to go round. But if you just blindly accept that that's going to be the status quo for the rest of your life, that's a big damn risk.
Yeah.
That's putting a lot of your markers onto some stuff you don't control. So while there's no bad in that, there is also significant good in setting up something on the side and getting it underway and testing the markets and building your networks. Like we were just talking about, it's going to take longer than you want anyway.
Yeah.
Get that stuff underway. It just does not hurt. And it doesn't have to be something that's going to land you on the cover of a magazine or generate, this isn't really a way to pay the rent. It could be ultimately, but you have to get in slowly and just start to generate those first revenues and cash those first checks and send those first invoices. That's difficult if you haven't done it before. It's difficult just because you haven't done it, right? It's not
Yeah.
hard. It's just new, right?
It's just new.
So getting that stuff underway is, to me, it's a no-brainer. It makes you more resilient, more employable down the road in all sorts of circumstances. And it looks to me like we're all going to be living a lot longer. So let's find those contributions that we can continue to make. There's enough problems out there, I think.
Yeah, let's not focus on those. That's not what we want to focus on. The upside is that there's so many. Think back, and we're in the same age group, and I think back when I was growing up. There was no internet. There was no, you know, you had to go outside and play all day until the streetlights came on. Then you could wander back home sometime. Life is a completely different opportunity now, and there's technologies that exist today that we never even thought about or considered when we were in school. And the way I look at it is this thing is unfolding, and there are people that are available that if you take the initiative and you have just a little bit of time, you can actually expand into something amazing. A lot of these companies that are started from an idea, nothing more than an idea, and generated a lot of support and goodwill in the community. And you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to be on the cover of a magazine to support a community and build a great product. You have the opportunity, and it doesn't even have to be in a product. You can do coaching, you can do, consulting, web development. I've been doing web development for years, and I just started because I wanted to do my own thing and create something on my own, see what I could do. And that's the kind of attitude you have to take is just, what can I start? Who can I help? And that's really the key to the success of this journey, I think.
Well, and we've been taking care of each other in our communities for 10,000 years as a culture,
Yeah.
right? And virtually nobody had an MBA throughout that whole process. This is not a spreadsheet-driven, kind of solution making. You can work right in communities and markets you love. Russ, one of the things that got me into this game is between gigs, I was consulting for a large trade organization. And this thing was over 100 years old. And I was looking at the deep relationships between the principal companies and the vendors and the service providers and the bankers and all of it. And it built up over time into this really valuable web. And then I looked out in the hallway, and there were small groups of people, men and women, older workers, saying goodbye to each other. And they'd gotten the proverbial watch and hit some spreadsheet number of 63, 64. Then it was time to retire. They had to go. And they're going out the door, right? And I'm want to scream, this is dumb. Get those people back in here. This is lifetimes worth of understanding for this industry.
Yeah.
And so within this Center for Ageless Entrepreneurs, we've got a research team working on what's called phased retirements. Is rather than
Mm.
the companies just cutting folks off, is let them go gradually. Support them as new startups within their industry, perhaps, and let those people go out and take some subset of what they really loved in that market, in that industry, and go out and see what they can develop in our communities with it. And I think that the information that those small startups can bring back to the mothership are invaluable. And those big companies couldn't have bought that data with $1 billion. And
Oh,
here we're supporting people, and they can even come back and train the new entrants into their companies. It goes against our usual way of thinking. When you let somebody go, you usually got these non-competes. I don't have the words for it, but I think it's something like a please compete.
yeah.
Take our industry, go represent our industry, be a small business person. It doesn't have to last forever. And there's ways to beat this system. It's not all Pollyanna, but I think that a
Yeah.
structure like that needs to emerge in different work relationships over time, especially with our older workers,
Yeah.
can emerge from this. It's a big opportunity.
Well, you bring up a great point, and I think Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs is doing a series right now talking about this exact issue and how there's a lot of seasoned workers that are leaving the trades, leaving the industries, which is a very healthy. I grew up in commercial construction. I built a lot of homes, poured a lot of concrete, did a lot of things, and there's people that are leaving the industry that are unable to transfer that knowledge into younger generations.
Right.
And the younger generations may or may not be in tune, or at least available to think about what they need to learn in order to move forward. But some of these skill sets, I was listening to a series yesterday about the record needle industry. And they're only from Japan, and there are only a certain amount of people that know how to operate the equipment to make these very sensitive devices. And I'm thinking to myself, if somebody didn't learn that and didn't carry that on, what's going to happen to the industry? It's
Right.
like, holy cow, that
Right.
seems kind of a huge loss, not only for the industry, but um, for the individual that could have learned it. There's so many examples like that. It's like how seasoned veterans that know, how to optimize and become more efficient with tools and, installing equipment or adjusting equipment and things like that. Mentioned John Deere, a lot of, you know, mechanics and things like that work on heavy equipment all the time. And it's just, there's certain things you need to know that are maybe not taught in school or, or in a book, but, you learn it over time, you learn it over doing. So this idea of craftsmen teaching and mentoring other craftsmen to bring up into the trades, I think is really important for us to start adopting immediately, if it's at all possible.
Well, and you're right, and it's often the greatest skill set is, yes, all of that, knowing how to adjust the equipment, knowing how to pour the concrete, and all of that, but it's also knowing what doesn't work, and
Yeah.
and that comes only with experience,
Yeah.
and that that's why I think creating a platform for these older work, we're all subject matter experts in something:
Yeah.
landscaping, heavy equipment maintenance, fire safety suppression, AI. Everybody's got something, and
Yeah.
finding a platform where there's a common ground and a non-threatening, non-profit necessarily environment right there, where somebody's not trying to reach into your wallet every day.
Right.
I think putting those people together is a really good idea for stirring that pot among them and building new networks within them, but having them also put their backs together and pull up our brothers and sisters who are reaching these ages and coming into this market and showing them how to do it. Um, my board chair talks about our Center for Ageless Entrepreneurs. We're certainly going to get sued if I keep talking like this, but she talks about it as an Angie's List for LinkedIn. Uh,
Yeah.
but both of those companies probably aren't really happy about me saying that. But for the time being,
Yeah.
it's a good way to sift and winnow and find that talent among peers. And a peer-to-peer network is something that you really can scale and should scale and will scale.
Oh, I love it, and I'm gonna introduce you to Bill, in Houston over the senior concierge, estate, so
Oh,
I
great.
wanna say hi to Garen. Garen's in the room. Thank you so much for joining us today, Garen. And then Michael Baker has something to say. He was gonna say that, we need to pass down our knowledge and experience as each one should teach one. Seek to be in association with those who see as being the best in what you seek to do, to learn from and contribute to. And I think that's sage advice, Michael, because one of the things that I've always loved to do is find a mentor or someone in an industry that I'm curious about and go talk to them about the industry and what actually happens in that industry. What happens with the job? What kind of a job is it? What kind of a skill do you need? And how difficult is it? And I've explored in many different environments in done this along the way. But finding mentors and finding people that have been there, done that, and that's what I'm thinking. You know, is really great about what you're doing, Rick. Is this idea that you're gathering people together that can share this knowledge, that is this rich information that can actually share with others along their journey as well.
And I don't think that this just is going to reside wholly baked into the older generations. This mentorship can go both ways. Ultimately, we need to build a bridge between our younger people and our older people, especially.
Mm,
Um, there's
true.
a great group in California called Encore.org. That's one of their specialties is building those bridges. When I was researching the book, I found that one of the greatest detriments to entrepreneurship is not knowing enough entrepreneurs, right? It's just simple as that. And
Yeah.
the groups that don't know enough entrepreneurs are older workers and younger workers. And
Mm.
so there's a project that should only take a few hundred years. Right? Let's get on
Well,
that, Russ.
if we get busy, Rick, we'll get it
I
done.
know. What are we doing talking here? We got to get
Yeah,
going.
we should be meeting more people.
Right.
Well, this has been an exciting opportunity to meet you, and thank you so much for showing up to the Pirate broadcast and sharing with the pirate community. I know that there's so many more things that we could be doing, and there's a lot of options and opportunities out there. So, how do you appreciate people connecting with you and getting a hold of you?
Sure. So there's two ways, but we can't forget to tell them to follow the Pirate Syndicate on LinkedIn, right?
Oh no,
We
real
need to make sure we get that in.
yeah, we'll get
So
that in there.
the book is at the URL is ageless-startup.com. That's on Amazon and all the usual places. Then the
Beautiful.
brand new Center for Ageless Entrepreneurs, and we're just decloaking the thing, is at agelessentrepreneurs.org. And at both sites, there's a sign up where you can submit your email for a newsletter kind of a thing. We'll make sure we rope you in.
Fantastic. Rick, all of this information is always found on russjohns.com. You can always go there, listen to the replays, catch up with the links, follow, like, subscribe, all of the things that are involved in that. And as you mentioned, the Pirate Syndicate, I'm absolutely pushing for my own entrepreneurial journey because the Pirate Syndicate, I'm supporting live stream strategy for business owners, and I'm also teaching people who want to learn how to live stream themselves. So it's really a community that is growing. It's continuing to grow, and like Rick, you put some energy into something, and magic things happen when you actually spend some time on working on it. So making
Right.
those connections, making that environment and that community grow and flourish is one of my missions, and I'm going to continue to pursue that. And Rick, I really appreciate you being here and talking with us today, and I look forward to updates on your adventure in the future now that you're a pirate. So
Looking forward to staying in touch and following you on the Pirates circuit. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And everyone, as you know, always, thank you so much for being here. All the gratitude in the world, because kindness is cool and smiles are free. And you enjoy your day. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.